Chapter 9. Getting ready. Carl got into his car and went to one of the shops around the corner. It wasn't anything to fancy, but they had some decent clothes. He has never been to this store before, so this was an exchange of pace. Kyle didn't care much about expensive clothes, as this would only draw unwanted attention. The last thing he needed was a criminal following him home to steal from him. This would be possible due to the lack of security in the building. Carl knew that he had to be careful, and this included a safe parking space for his car, even though he had yet to talk to Jones regarding this. There was a place where they parked their cars at an extra fee, but spare parties visited there way too often, because they knew they would always find a car to steal something from. Carl knew that it would be best to move out of the neighborhood altogether. Booton needed to increase his wealth to do that. As for it was barely enough to do anything in a high-end neighborhood, as everything there was not only very expensive, but the lifestyle that came with it would flatten his wallet in a heartbeat. Carl took a deep breath and walked into the shop. He had little to no fashion sense, so he knew he needed all the help he could get in this case. Luckily, one of the store workers attended to him. "Good evening, sir. What can I help you with?" the man questioned with a smile. That same goddamn smile that everyone wore like zombies. A smile he too once wore. Rebate sounded something casual, but at the same time fancy, Carl said with a sigh, knowing that this wasn't much of a description. "Right this way, sir," the man instructed, and Carl complied, following him to a more exclusive section of the store. Carl noticed the leap in prices. This man wasted no time in trying to milk him, and Kyle couldn't help but respect the hustle. Everyone was trying to make ends meet. Not everyone was as fortunate as him. If anything, no one was as fortunate as him. Carl was led to a care as the man brought a couple of clothes for him to check. The man didn't doubt if he could afford them or not, as he had seen the car he drove and couldn't make the mistake of treating this customer poorly or he could lose the sale. Carl already received the address from Jane, and he was looking forward to that date. He couldn't believe that he was even going on one. The last time he did was in high school, and it was a forgettable experience. "That one," Carl said, picking one of the four presented to him. He saw Thebra's tag and knew it wouldn't dent his wallet. The man seemed pleased with this sale. Carl could feel the aura around him shift when he picked one out. Carl gave the man a generous tip of €1, and this made his day. He could tell update in affection bar. Jane's affection to her. Carl was confused because he hadn't done anything, so why did it keep rising? He thought that he had to use money to raise the bar, but it looked like all he had to do was charm them. That could be why he drew charm on his first draw. Not that he was complaining. This was simple. Jane was thinking about him, and the more she thought about them, the more her heart fluttered. Update in affection bar. Callista's affection. Wait, what? Carl already hated that Callista was included in his harem, but he could already tell that she would be a difficult woman to keep happy. Of course, she has to be a problem. Carl was already exhausted. That could also be because he declined to pick up her call. He had seen with Jane how far a little conversation tends to go, as it leaves a mental imprint. Something for them to think about when he is no longer. The time flew by, and Kyle found himself right in front of the address that Jane had given him. He walked up to the door and couldn't help but feel nervous. The flower in his hand trembled slightly, but he composed himself with a deep breath right before ringing the bell. It took up to a minute. This allowed Kyle to adjust his clothing and calm his thoughts. And the door swung open with Jane coming into view. "My God, you look beautiful," Carl blurted out, and her face became red instantly. Jane was in a sleek, black gown that hugged her curves like a second skin. Made of luxurious silk, it featured a daring, plunging neckline that showcased her neckline. The fitted bodice highlighted her narrow waist. A subtle slit up one side revealed a glimpse of her turned leg, adding a hint of allure to the overall design. "Here," Kyle said, handing her the flower in hand. Jane noticed that he had chosen a more casual approach in his choice of clothing. The tucked-in white t-shirt in what looked like navy blue trousers gave him a classy look. Thank you," Jane said before briefly heading inside to drop the flower, with Carl following behind her. Partly because Jane had gestured for him to come in, she couldn't leave him standing outside after he came all the way here. She offered him a glass of water, but Carl declined. There was no need for that, considering that they were about to be on their way. Carl glanced around her apartment and noticed that she didn't live alone. He also knew it wasn't in his place to ask questions, as this would be prying too much. Right now, he needed to focus on the date that he was about to take her on. Jane finished what she was doing in no time and came out of the room before they both left. Whoever was living with her was not around.